Welcome to Season 22 of Alliance War. I am back in DSVG after my 1 season break. So we're taking Path 2 for Section 1 and I'm bringing in Doctor Doom, Human Torch and Void. First up we've got Strike Counter Fury and Power Struggle. We've got Sorcerer Supreme, so this is a perfect matchup for Human Torch. I won't be using the pre-fight ability as I need that for a later fight. But even without that, this is just going to be a pretty standard fight. We've got a Mystic here and Human Torch absolutely wrecks Mystics. Now we are boosting up, we're on tier 1 now after we break in tier 5, so need to put on boosts and make sure we get the win. One death could be all the difference up at tier 1. It's very tight up here. But this should be a standard fight. I've taken this path many times in the past. In my previous stint in DSVG, this was my designated path, so you'd like to think that I know how to fight this node. So I'm just going to be playing it slow, mostly trying to block her special 1 while she has no furies up, because she is a stubborn defender and that's what the alliance we're against is using. I don't know how to pronounce the name, so I didn't bother trying at the start. Normally I do say who we're against, but I saw that name and was like, I don't really want to butcher that. So yeah, but this fight's going pretty well. She's got a fair number of furies up, but we're not taking too much damage. Just need to bait out this SP2, get a decent parry off, and this fight will be over. We'll move on to the second fight on this path, which is a Hyperion. Still the same Strike Counter Fury node, but the second fight is considerably harder than the first due to the brute force and power focus 1. However, with Hyperion though, I've got Doctor Doom, so this is just going to be pretty standard Doom versus Hyperion fight. Now, as soon as you get the first heavy off, you've got the fight under control. Hyperion won't gain his power back again, despite me getting smacked in the face. I have been finding that quite a lot recently, that my parries aren't triggering. I don't know if it's my phone. It's a new phone, so I don't know if I'm maybe not used to the screen. Maybe I'm not pressing it enough. But it happens again in a later fight, and it does hurt a little bit. You're wasting potions. But this fight is under control. I don't have to worry about the furies as much with this fight, just because of the matchup here. It is a very favourable matchup to me, so I just need to keep thinking about making sure I get staggers on so he doesn't get any power gains. And again, I steal it because of Doctor Doom's SIG ability, so it's always lovely to steal those powers. And I'm backed up to an SP3, and this fight is under control. I can see why they placed it here, but if you've got a Doctor Doom, this fight is a walk in the park, as it was here, despite getting hit. We move on to the first mini of the left side, which is a Corvus Glaive. So this fight shouldn't be too much bother as well. It's a decent matchup for Doom. I am going to reboost. I'm going to be using the small ones for the most part, trying to save the big ones for the fights I'm really worried about. I have seen that we're getting a lot more boosts because of the changes to the greater solar crystals. If you're Thronebreaker, you get an absolute ton of boosts from them, mostly the 10% ones, but that's always welcome, because they previously it was running low before I moved alliances last season. I spent most part of last season storing up boosts as the fights were a little bit easier, just because of the tier. The less health, less attack. Still had to solo them. But this fight is much like the Hyperion fight previously. It's a very favourable matchup for Doom. We'll keep getting those glaive charges off, so his attack is considerably less than it would be. No crits, so that's always nice in case I get hit. I'm not running any invulnerability boosts. I try and save them for fights again that I'm worried about. They are in short supply, so try and save them for the most part. This fight is going up very well. It's an unduped Corvus Glaive, so this will put him in the bin, and we move on to section 2. Good start of the war. Let's hope we can continue this. So first fight in section 2 is the first mini boss on the left hand side. It is the EMP Mod, Enhanced Energy Attacks and Burden of Might node. So we've got a Symbiote Supreme here, and I've got Human Torch, so I've got a good matchup here. Symbiote Supreme does have quite slow power gain, so this node really relies on the defender throwing a lot of specials and you getting dex on you. If you do that, then you're going to stack up a bunch of charges of the EMP Mod, but I'm not going to evade anything. One, because I don't want a dex buff on me to trigger the EMP Mod, but also if Symbiote Supreme staggers it and nullifies that buff, then I'm going to take a lot of damage as well. So I'm just trying to conserve potions for later on, as I will be healing up to full for one of the fights in section 2. But this is a pretty simple fight, great matchup for myself. I could have used the SP2 to finish this, but for some reason I thought Nova Flame was the way to go. Didn't really matter because this fight is really in the bag, and as soon as I come out of this SP3, the Nova Flame is just going to melt Symbiote Supreme and the fight will be over. Nice easy matchup, kind of bad placement from them, but I'm always happy to see that. It's an easy fight for us. We move on into section 2, which I'll be taking path 1. So the first fight up here is a Mephisto with Vigour and Indomitable. So I can't reverse healing, but I brought Void specifically for this fight. I can't use Human Torch's pre-fight, which I would have liked to have, but with the regular Incinerates, that just fuels Mephisto's power gain, so I was concerned with him getting to an SP3, so I've brought in Void just to stop that from happening. First buff I don't get is the Petrify, so that's a bit frustrating. With his aura, it is a little bit annoying to control his power, but on the second attempt I get the Petrify and the fight is well and truly under control now. It's the beauty of having Void. If you do get the Petrifies in the first couple of debuffs, then you're absolutely sorted. So the healing is stopped. He won't heal anymore, so this fight is pretty much good as done. We've got the debuffs. He's absolutely melting. Just have to play it safe now. No silly evades that miss time or anything. Just play it safe, and this fight is in the bag. It's an interesting placement. I can see why I done it, because obviously you need to use a pre-fight if using a Human Torch, or else you're just going to fuel his power to a stupid rate. And the next fight up is a Infinity War Iron Man, where you absolutely need the pre-fight. But that was an easy fight for Void, and we move on to the second fight of path 1 in section 2. So like I said previously, this is the Infinity War Iron Man that I need the pre-fight for. It's Buffet and Lionheart. So if you do reverse the healing, you're going to take a lot of damage. So Human Torch pre-fight against Infinity War Iron Man is absolutely golden. This is a bit of a revenge fight for me. In the first war of the season, I did die to Infinity War Iron Man using Human Torch, but it was on the Rage Mini. I just played that horribly. Missed time an SP1 evade, and then lost track of the fight and got auto block parried, and he just binned me. It was a really embarrassing loss for me. I should not have let myself die, but with that in mind, I feel like I'm on track for this. Just need to back off. I'm just going to be trying to play it safe as much as possible. I'm not doing any double parries on the SP1. That's actually what got me. I went to re-parry one of his SP1s and I missed it, and I got slapped in with that shock, and it just blitzed me. It's a heck of a lot of damage, especially on the Rage node, because you get double length of debuffs, so my health just melted, much like this fight is doing. He is melting. Now I'm just going to play it safe here, and I need to watch out for the 15%, because that's what got me last time. Just going to double parry here, get heavies off now. That's all I do, is just get heavies. There's no light into heavy, because obviously I'd get auto blocked. So He is melting and I get the win. Revenge on Infinity War Iron Man and no loss. So far this path is going really well. Quite a simple fight, and we've got Captain Marvel on buffet now. So I'm going to use Doctor Doom, as Human Torch's incinerates would just fuel her binary and make her go indestructible, and we don't want that. So the idea here is we're going to get a parry off, one hit to put shock on her, and then get stagger off with the heavy, and now her buffs and indestructible and fury are both gone. She will get to binary in a wee second because of the shock, but that's not going to matter now because she's got stagger on. As you saw there, it got staggered, and this fight is going pretty well. She takes massive amounts of damage from Mystics, so this fight is just about over. What an easy buffet fight that was. If you know how to play Doctor Doom versus Captain Marvel on there, then easy game, easy life. So we move on to the last fight of the war. This is the Rage Mini on the left hand side of the top of the map. So this is where my war falls apart. I had a really good war up to this point and I was feeling good, but I get my ass kicked here. It comes to a point in this fight where Hulkbuster will reduce your offensive ability actually to the point where Doom's power drain, shocks and staggers all stop intermittently working. So Hulkbuster's SP2 as well, it becomes unblockable of all parts. I forgot about that. And with the node giving him 40% of a bar of power when you nullify buffs, this really isn't a good matchup. I should have been using my SP1 more than I am, just to drain power and keep him below that 2 bars of power. While he's blocking, I should be just hitting his block and draining power as much as possible when I've got an SP1. But hindsight's great for these things. In the future, if I do see a Hulkbuster here, I would like to take it and to rectify this mistake. Even though this is a rank 3 Hulkbuster, it's a pretty tough fight. I should have won this fight. It's just a catalogue of errors that happened here. A parry stops working at one point. I go to press it, doesn't happen, so I get slapped in the face. I forget this SP2 is unblockable. I then throw my SP2 into his blocking when I can't do that, so it's just a whole series of errors. Here's where the parry doesn't work. I click the screen, nothing happens. Happens again. So this is a disaster of a fight. But hey, if you're into seeing people getting slapped about, then you're going to love this one. So like I said, I do end up losing this fight. It's just very frustrating. After having a very good war, I do end up just healing up and taking it with Doctor Doom just to finish it off. But this fight was one of the fights that cost us the war in the end. We were ahead at this point by one death, and me dying ties it. So that was painful for me, letting the team down. But this was a winnable war. We ended up losing it. It was a sore one to take, but we have to learn from this error. I have to learn from this just absolutely abysmal fight for something in the future. And hopefully I see a Hulkbuster here again and I can actually solo this fight, rectify this error. But it's 2 deaths from 2 wars for me, so I need to up my game and stop letting the team down. I'm back in tier 1. This is no longer low health fights. This is the top. This is top of the game. This is where I want to be fighting, but I need to go deathless. So lessons to be learned, and we move on to the future. Hopefully we can go in the next war deathless and redeem myself. That is the end of this video. I'm just going to let this play out now. If you did like it, please give us a wee like, drop us a wee comment. If you've got any tips as well from one fights, if you see any mistakes I'm making, I would love to hear that as well. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for future content, and I will catch you in the next video. All the best.